Hello and welcome to Management 1100, Introduction to Business in a Rapidly Changing AI World. My name is Brad Scheller, and in this video, I want to provide an overview of the course I'll be teaching. However, this is not the introduction to a business course you might be expecting. No, this course is going to dismantle the assumptions that a business degree is about memorizing textbook definitions and filling in multiple choice answers. We're going to rebuild a course from the ground up around four transformational pillars: arbitrage, artificial intelligence, object-oriented organizational architecture, and agile methodologies. Why? Well, because by the year 2030, nearly 40% of core worker skills will be displaced by automation. The statistical likelihood of retiring from the exact role you are hired for is approaching zero. The single role career is dead. Professionals now must navigate multiple job realities, managing concurrent fractional roles. A university curriculum built on old methodologies and survey level knowledge, static career tracking, that cannot prepare a workforce for an economy that demands the level of skills agility for the future. So, my course is intended to give you the blueprints to construct your future to thrive in this rapidly changing environment, not just to participate in it, but to excel in it. I should probably start by telling you a little bit about myself. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Economics from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania and received an MBA from Harvard Business School. My career spans work in sales at IBM, product management, and management consulting with a focus on management strategy, new product development, IT strategic architecture, and application development. I've worked extensively in the area of knowledge process reengineering, where I basically design systems that bring tools, information, and knowledge to specific tasks while I work with clients to reengineer major business processes. I've had the good fortune to work with wonderful clients at the World Bank, IMF, KPMG, Chase, Citibank, Dow Jones, Unilever, Labor Brothers, Times Mirror, and many more. And I've also been able to been helping startups such as the company that eventually became the Princeton Review, ChoicePoint, which was a spinoff from Equifax, GE Capital, and Elizabeth Arden, and many others. These white hairs have a real history behind them. And over the years, I've been fortunate enough to work with some brilliant people that I've learned from and have been mentored by. And now I'm at the stage where I want to help others by imparting that knowledge and experience to them. Now, let me tell you about exactly how this course is going to work and what I promised you. My approach has 5 pillars. First, we master the textbook fundamentals, every chapter, every framework. These foundations matter and they're not going anywhere. Second, we augment that with real world AI trends that are reshaping every business function as we speak. Third, we move at the pace that your career will basically require, and that's fast. Success is going to require you to keep ahead of the crowd in acquiring and using knowledge. Now, your radar must always be on, and I will teach you tricks to enable you to drink the water from the fire hydrant. Fourth, we build a real toolkit that you can use in your career, not theoretical, real tools that you will use in the field. Claude Code, Claude Opus, Perplexity Pro, Gemini tools, AI agents, AI skills tools, MCP servers, all the leading and latest tools. These are today's version of learning Word, Excel, and PowerPoint back in the early days of personal computing that basically provided a competitive advantage in job searches and then became table stakes. And fifth, we apply it all in a real reengineering project, not a hypothetical case study, a real company with real failures that you will diagnose, dismantle, and fix. Now, here's my promise to you, and I mean every word of this. If I do not give you skills that you can take into your career as a competitive advantage, then I will have failed you. I never accept failure, so I commit wholeheartedly to giving you real skills and knowledge that will give you an advantage in your career. How you're going to consume a lot of information in my course is sometimes an issue, but don't be intimidated by a seemingly brutal workload. That's by design because you're going to face it in real life. Part of my job is to teach you how to rapidly assimilate that information in preparation for when you graduate. So look at what recent students have said about this. One wrote that at first they were overwhelmed by the assignments, but by week 3 they had learned skills that made the workload effortless. Another student said the course was challenging, but they came away with tools and skills that basically opened their mind to new career opportunities and possibilities. This is the outcome I'm engineering for every single one of you. All right, let's jump right in. We need to start by talking about something that is right now completely rewiring the global economy. It's a concept called arbitrage. And trust me, understanding how AI is turbocharging this ancient idea is going to be absolutely critical for your career, your business, really your whole future. Now, arbitrage is the art of closing inefficiencies. It's the gap between what something costs and what the market will pay. Now, this definition on screen is deceptively simple, but it is the engine underneath every business model you will ever encounter. Now, arbitrage might sound a little academic, but it has been the secret engine of commerce for millennia. Just picture the ancient Silk Road, the price of spices in one city versus what you could sell them for at the end of a long, dangerous journey. That gap, that inefficiency, that's arbitrage. And here's the thing you have to get. These gaps, these inefficiencies, they're not bugs in the system. They are the system. Entire industries, entire career paths have been built inside these gaps simply because they were too hard or too expensive to close. But AI, well, AI is like a giant steamroller, and it is flattening these gaps at a speed we have never, ever seen before. We're going to begin our course with a look at arbitrage. Look at this timeline carefully because it tells a story of recent human civilization in 3 frames, and each frame is shorter than the last. On the left, 1869, the railroad. The transcontinental rail closed the geographic arbitrage between the coast, building railroads and bridges, physical mail and telegraph, the earliest forms of information flow and product flow. And it took decades to build that infrastructure, decades. And the center, 1982, the Bloomberg terminal. Real-time market data closed the information asymmetry on Wall Street. Email replaced snail mail. Electrical trading emerged. The information speed advantage reshaped finance. And it took roughly 5 years for Bloomberg to dominate. Now look at the right, 2025. The $414,000 bot. Yep, you heard me. Someone started with a simple trading bot and an initial investment of just $313. In 1 month, 30 days, that tiny grubstake turned into $414,000. It had a 98% success rate across thousands and thousands of trades. The secret? Well, the bot found a tiny speed gap. It noticed that prices on Polymarket updated just a fraction of a second slower than the big live crypto exchanges. So whenever a price shot up in an exchange, the bot would instantly swoop in and buy the old prices before any human could even blink. Everything changed again. The arbitrage broke in every era was the same. Faster information, faster processing, faster decisions. But notice what's happening to the timeline. It is compressing. Decades, then years, then days. This image tells one of the most important stories in business, and it plays out the same way every single time. On the left, you see huge margins. This is what happens when you are the first to close a gap. You have a new tool, the new capability, the new insight, and nobody else does. Your margins are enormous. This reminds me of the story of the computer-controlled CNC released back in the 1980s. The first few machine shops that got them basically hid them in the back of the shop. And they kept charging the old high hand machine pieces for work that was now taking them a fraction of the time and cost. Their profits were huge for a little while. Then look at the right. Prices collapsed because, of course, everybody eventually got a CNC machine and the prices just collapsed. That's the exact same thing that's happening to knowledge work right now. Just compressed from years into months, every arbitrage falls into this arc. Early movers capture outsized returns. Then the gap closes, the tools become universal, and margins compress to zero. The question you need to ask yourself right now is, which side of the picture are you on? Are you an early mover with the hidden CNC machine, or are you still hand machining parts? Now look at this chart, because this is where it gets truly wild. We are looking at the accelerating disruption cycle from 2024 to 2026, and the compression is staggering. In 2024, we saw major large language model releases every few months. The market had time to absorb each one, adjust, recalibrate. The waves were manageable. By 2025, releases became roughly quarterly. The waves started overlapping. Before the market could fully price in one capability, the next one landed. Now look at 2026. Markets reprice within hours of a leak, not a release, a leak. Around March of 2026, some information about a new Anthropic AI model got leaked by accident. It was not yet released. It was not even confirmed. It was just a rumor. And the entire software market immediately dropped 3%. Think about that. The market did not wait for the product. It repriced the entire future based on a draft of a press release. Look at how this cycle is accelerating. The time between a new AI capability showing up and the market completely pricing it is collapsing to zero. There is no new equilibrium coming. There is only a permanent state of rolling disruption. The ground is just going to keep shifting under our feet forever. And that is exactly what this course is designed to prepare you for. That polymarket bot story is fascinating, but it's really just one small example of a much bigger universal pattern. It is a mechanism that's playing out in every single industry right now. And we can actually break this pattern down into 5 key types of gaps that AI is starting to close. Once you learn this framework, you'll start to see these gaps literally everywhere. Number 1, speed gaps. Just like our bot, one system updates slower than reality. If you can process information faster than the other side, you win every single time. That's how the Rothschild family made its fortune. Look it up. Number 2, reasoning gap. AI can interpret information faster than a human team. The data is available to everyone, but the speed of interpretation creates the edge. Number 3, fragmentation gaps. AI can now pull together data from totally separate systems, from silos that were never designed to talk to each other. Aggregating data from different silos creates an information advantage that did not exist before. Number 4, discipline gaps. This is the big one. AI can execute a perfect strategy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, without getting tired, without getting emotional, without making mistakes at 3 a.m. because it's exhausted. Perfect execution without human fatigue. Number 5, knowledge gaps. The advantage is no longer about cheap labor. It's about pure intelligence. The shift from labor to intelligence is huge. This is the most fundamental gap of all, and it's only getting wider. And here's something to understand. Just because everyone gets the new tool does not mean everyone wins. Look at the chart on the left. On Polymarket, a staggering 95% of wallets lose money. 95%. Let that sink in. Why? Because the real gap that is opening up is not between people who have AI and people who do not. It is between the people who just sort of staple AI onto the old way of doing things and the people who rebuild their entire process around what AI now makes possible. Look at the 2 figures on the right. On the left, the dark figure, this is the old process plus AI. This person bought a subscription, started using ChatGPT to write emails, maybe generate a report here and there, and they still are operating on their old workflow. They just added a shiny tool on top. On the right, the illuminated figure, this is someone who has rebuilt their entire workflow around AI. They're not using AI as a tool. They're using AI as an infrastructure. Their processes, their decision making, their information flow, all redesigned from scratch. The bottom of the slide makes it crystal clear. Old process plus AI maybe leads to a piggy bank. Modest incremental gains, okay. New workflows built around AI lead to a castle, a fundamentally different competitive position. That is the difference I want to teach you in this course for you to see it and to execute it. Let me make this even more concrete with a specific example. Look at a junior financial analyst. Before AI, what was their job? The table tells a story. Data gathering, 70% of their time. Before AI, the majority of a junior analyst's job was hunting down numbers, pulling data from Bloomberg terminals, formatting spreadsheets, cross-referencing filings. 70% of every working day. With AI, that number drops to approximately zero. AI handles all of it instantly. Analysis. Before AI, only 20% of their time. They barely got to do any actual analytical thinking because they were drowning in data collection. With AI, that jumps to 60%. Now that same person can spend the majority of their time on what actually matters, interpreting patterns, building models, drawing insights. Judgment. Before AI, just 10%. The most valuable thing a human can do, the thing that actually drives decisions, got the smallest allocation. With AI, judgment rises to 40%, making smart decisions, advising clients, exercising the kind of taste and intuition that no algorithm can yet replicate. The question is no longer who can find the data, it's who can tell me what this data means and help me make a smart decision. This is where your career needs to be. And here is one beautiful, predictable pattern. The value always migrates upstream. It moves away from the simple stuff, the execution, the data entry, the basic production, and it flows towards things that are uniquely human. Look at the bottom of the slide. The gears and the AI chips represent the automation work flowing away, machinery of data collection, repetitive execution, all the routine analysis. AI absorbs all of that. And look at where the arrows are pointing, upwards, towards three things: judgment, relationships, and taste. Judgment, the ability to look at a complex situation with imperfect information and make a wise call. No AI can do this yet because judgment requires lived experiences, domain expertise, and the ability to weigh incommensurable values against each other. Relationships, the trust built between human beings over years, the ability to read a room, to know when to push and when to hold back, to build the kind of social capital that make deals happen. Taste, knowing what's excellent versus what's merely adequate. Understanding what a customer will love before they can adequately articulate it themselves. Curating, selecting, deciding what matters. These three capabilities are your competitive moat. The course is designed to help you develop all three while mastering the tools that handle everything else. So what's the big takeaway from everything we've covered so far about arbitrage? Well, for thousands of years, our world is built on slowly closing these gaps, these inefficiencies. But the key word, slowly, is officially over. Look at this slide. The world is closing gaps all around us. The arrows are pointing down from every direction. And in the center is the only statement that matters. The only losing move is to assume that where you are standing is steady state. Let that land for a moment. The single biggest mistake you can possibly make in this economy is to look at your current role, your current industry, your current skill set, and assume it's solid ground. It is not. The ground is shifting beneath everyone. The question is not whether it will shift under you. The question is whether you'll be ready when it does. And look at the bottom of the slide. The person standing on cracking ground with technology flying past them. This is what happens when you assume stability in an unstable world. You get left behind, not gradually, suddenly. In this new world, the only winning move is perpetual adaptation. And that's what every single week of this course is designed to train you to do. So if the world is in a constant state of change, how on earth do you adapt? How do you build anything, a career, a business, on ground that just will not stop moving? Well, it comes down to asking yourself three key questions, and you have to be brutally honest with your answers. Question one, what inefficiency is your role or business built on? Every job exists because some gap in the market makes it necessary. What is yours? If you're a financial analyst, your gap was the difficulty in gathering and interpreting data. If you're a translator, your gap was the barrier between languages. If you're a graphic designer, your gap was the specialized skill required to create visual content. Identify the gap. Question 2. How fast can AI close the gap? Be honest, not hopeful, not defensive, honest. And for some roles, the answer is already done. It's been closed. For others, the timeline might be 2 years, 5 years, or a decade. But for almost every role, the timeline is shorter than you think. Question 3, and this is the most important one. When that gap closes, what new gap does it create? Because every time AI closes one gap, it rips open a dozen new ones somewhere else. This is where the opportunity is. This is where your future career lies. Not in defending the old gap and racing towards the new one. These 3 questions are the strategic framework you will apply to every single case study and every single project in this course. So, how do we teach this? Business education needs a rebuild, not a refresh, not an update, a fundamental rebuild from the ground up. Every chapter in business textbooks describes a business function: marketing, finance, operations, human resources, management, and every single one of those business functions is built on some arbitrage gap that is closing right now as we speak. Marketing was built on a gap between companies and consumers. AI is closing that gap with hyper-personalization. Finance was built on the gap between data and decisions. AI is closing that gap with algorithmic trading and automated analysis. Operations was built on the gap between planning and execution. AI is closing that with autonomous supply chains. So I teach the fundamentals. You absolutely need to understand what marketing is, what finance does, how operations work. But we read these through new lens. For each chapter, for each function, we will ask 3 questions that should now be very familiar to you. Where's the gap? What happens when AI closes it? What's the new gap that it opens? This is the lens for the entire course. The textbook gives you the foundation. This course gives you the blueprint for what comes next.